WWRQ Valdosta. Online at myrock108.com.
Online.
It's everything that rocks. Everything that rocks. Rock 108. Blazer football talk. It's the David Dean Coaches Show on Rock 108.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the David Dean Coaches Show, live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you to Solstice Lab Partners, formerly Doctors Laboratory of Valdosta, for sponsoring the VSU Blazing Brigade Pep Band tonight. Also, thank you to all of our sponsors, including Southeastern Federal Credit Union, Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girardin Jewelers, Blanton and Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Print Co. Now let's go to David Schmidt and head coach of our Valdosta State University Blazer football team, David Dean.
It may be a rainy and gray kind of day in Valdosta, but the sun shines on VSU football once again with a big 40-13 win over Ouachita Baptist in Arkadelphia, Arkansas. Coach, you were coming off a very tough loss in Arkansas. This is your last chance to kind of say goodbye to Arkansas. Put a statement on the history that you've had with those teams. And again, after a very tough loss, you guys responded.
Yeah, we did. I was awfully proud of our guys, the way they came out and played, and I thought that probably the score indicated it, but that was the most complete game that we played offensively, defensively, special teams. And the good thing about it is we did it against a very good football team. We did it against a team who was coming in with the same record as us, 4-1, and I think they were out to prove something, just like we were. And I think we kind of broke their will early in the third quarter. I think we kind of put the game out of reach, and you could tell that their mentality and their approach to the game was a little bit different. And I commended our guys afterwards for kind of breaking the will of those guys. And Coach Knight even said that to me after the game. He said, "Coach, I apologize. You didn't get our best today." And that was fine. I think we had a lot to do with it. But, awfully proud of our guys, the way they responded.
Did anything happen during the week where you finally you did get a sense that, okay, we seem like we learned from that last game and that we are kind of a little bit more focused, or not that you weren't focused on the other one, but that, you see that they got over it, but at the same time learned from it?
Well, I think we stated it Monday night here in the show. We've had more people come in and watch film before we even get started. And so I kind of saw that happening on Monday. But when we went out to practice on Tuesday, we had a very physical, enthusiastic practice. It was exciting to see those guys go out with that type of approach. They were very focused on what they were doing. They knew their assignments, and we had a very good week of practice leading up to that ball game. And again, that's something that we told our guys, we practiced well all week, and it bled into Saturday.
And again, this is the last chance to play the teams in the what is now the Great American Conference. I was trying to think what that middle word was, because that first great kind of throws me off. But, again, a chance to not want to leave with a bad taste in your mouth. And Ouachita was one of those teams that you played every year. Arkansas Monticello was kind of off and on. But Ouachita has been there for the whole run just about. And so it was kind of good to be able to leave with that victory and again, know that you don't have to answer to a loss and let that linger from. Exactly.
It was one of those games where or one of those teams that every year you could see Ouachita Baptist got a little better each year. In 2009, they actually beat us. Last year we had to stop a 2-point conversion from them tying the game. So for us to finish that series with a 14-13 win was very satisfying for us. But overall, the Gulf South Conference, in that 3-week stretch that the Gulf South Conference played the Great American Conference, we went 13-2 against them. And only we lost to Arkansas Monticello, and West Georgia lost to Henderson State. And ironically, Ouachita Baptist, Henderson State, and Arkansas Monticello are the 3 teams that are leading that conference over there.
And so can kind of show you what's going on. But you mentioned a really complete game by all facets of the game, and to see that on the road is got to be tremendous. There's one thing when you can do it at home, but to be able to pack that up on a bus and on a plane and carry that with you. But again, it was another game where things kind of started out slowly. It took you a little while to adjust what was going on, but this time you guys really stepped it up. But a great way to start the scoring with a safety. I mean, you got to love when the defense gets involved, and a pick six or a return for a fumble for 6 points. That's obviously worth more points, and it has a lot of meaning to it. But anytime you get a safety, that really has to energize the rest of the team.
It does. Anytime your defense scores, that's always very energetic for your team. And a punt return, kickoff return, anything like that you have an opportunity to score on. But, what was really the main, I guess, factor in that ball game was every time that we made a big play, our defense fed off of that. They got excited to see us make big plays, and our offense got excited to see the defense make big plays. And we were feeding off each other for the first time in a while. And a lot of that had to do with some of the big plays we were making on offense. But for the first time, you could really feel everybody kind of getting excited for each other. Not that they weren't pulling for each other, but you could see the enthusiasm. Everybody kind of kept their cool through the season up into this game, and everybody kind of let their emotions out, and I think coaches included. It was an exciting game for us, and whenever we're going to be able, and hopefully we'll continue to do that, keep feeding off big plays from each other.
And is that a case of where it's a situation where they actually try not to do as much as they did before and end up doing more because they're so focused on what their role is, and it allows them to be able to kind of pay attention to what's going on, and then you get that shared power?
That probably has a lot to do with it. To understand psyche is if you could do that, you'd be a gazillionaire. And so you just can't understand the psyche of 18, 19, 20-year-olds a lot of times, and you do the best that you can. But leading up to that game, I really felt like we were ready to play. Monticello, I was a little apprehensive. I just didn't think that towards the end of the week we had the focus that we needed. And when we warmed up, I thought, well, maybe we're going to be ready to play because our guys kind of got excited. But when we went back to the locker room, it just went dead again. And when we came out of the locker room, it was dead. But this one, it wasn't that way. I don't know if you heard what happened to us on our trip.
I did. I was about to ask you, was anything different in the travel than there was last week?
Well, boy, was it.
And apparently there was something that you would have thought would have swung it the other way.
Well, if you could ever say that the way that we travel to a game is bad and is not good for your players, you can throw that out the window now. Because we met as a team at 6 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to fly out at 7:10. We were supposed to leave the football office at 6:10, get to the airport around 6:30, go through the screening, get on the plane, and leave at 7:10. Well, when we got to the airport, the plane wasn't even there. So we didn't leave the airport we didn't fly out until close to 8:15. So we were an hour and 5 minutes behind. Well, then when we landed, we taxi in, and we're all sitting there, and we're anxious to get off the plane because we know we're behind already. Well, then the captain comes over the thing, and he says, we're having a little bit of a problem here. They can't get the ladder up to the plane door. So we're going to have to hold for a second and figure out how to get this thing worked. And I peered around the corner and looked at one of those flight attendants right there, and I said, you got to do something. Something's got to be done.
We're on a schedule here.
So about 2 minutes later, the captain comes over and said, we're going to exit out the back of the plane. So we ended up getting everybody off the plane and got into the buses and all that. And luckily, we've got a guy that every year that we fly to Little Rock, Arkansas, this guy picks us up as part of the Aero bus line. And he is a huge Blazer fan living in Arkansas. We've just gotten to know him. And he said, Coach, I was wondering where y'all were. And he said, y'all are running a little bit behind, right? And I said, yes. And he said, we're going to get you back on track. So he got us over to eat the pregame meal. This is a long story, so bear with me. We go to the pregame meal. We're having to rush through the pregame meal. We end up getting through the pregame meal. We get back on the bus, and I asked him, I said, how long does it take to get to Arkadelphia from here? He said 45 minutes, and that's if I do the speed limit. So he knew that he had to speed up. So he let the hammer down, and we were rolling pretty good down whatever highway that was. Well, we ended up getting to the stadium roughly about an hour and a half, an hour and 35 minutes before the game. Well, our kickers then had to be out 15 minutes after we got there. Our kick returners 20 minutes after we got there. So, our trainers are trying to tape and stretch, and, we're doing all this. Well, I had told the coaches when we were eating the pregame meal, look, let's just remain calm. Everybody back everything up. We just won't spend as much time in the locker room before the game. Well, as soon as I get off the bus, David Sharp, who's a great guy, he's the athletic director at Ouachita Baptist, he said, Coach, did you get my email? And I said, no, I didn't. And he said, well, you got to be off the field at 12:30 for our homecoming festivities. So pour some more salt in that wound now. So anyway, our offensive and defensive line came out on the field for all of about a minute and a half, had a couple of pops, and then we all went back into the locker room. But what we did was there was a baseball field right next to us, so we warmed up in the baseball field. We were throwing our passes and doing all of our line work. We lined up for our extra point just like we always do, and we kicked it in the outfield, and we punted it in the outfield. We huddled up, said our prayer, and had a couple of words of inspiration, and then we went out there and played the game. And then the worst part was at the half, it was probably the ugliest half I've ever seen. There was about 7 trash cans stationed all over, and each one of them had a player at each trash can. So our kids got sick at the half. Something that they ate in the pregame meal made them sick. So then we go back out after the half, and they're throwing up all over the walls. And I mean, it was quite a day.
So you guys did leave your mark on Arkadelphia.
We did. We left our mark there. We left a lot of fluids in Arkadelphia, Arkansas.
Well, you have to admit, if you're going to have plane problems, you want to find out when you're on the ground.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
I mean,
what happened was it wasn't actually a plane problem. They were flying out of Orlando to Valdosta. Well, they had a terrible storm in Orlando that morning, so they didn't get out till late. So, I was a little upset, and I said, look, if you got a charter flight, get your fanny up here, if you know it's going to be bad weather, and spend the night. We're paying you guys a lot of money to get us there on time, and you didn't do it.
But, again, that's a situation where your players didn't really have time to think about what was going on, and so you had all these, and you never know when a distraction is going to be a benefit like that, but it didn't really give them a chance to kind of think too much about the rest of the day, did it?
And we're gonna do that the rest of the season. We're gonna warm up in the intramural field, and we're gonna bus over there and get off and go play.
I was about to ask you how much that's. I know coaches
forget the blazer walk; it's done.
5 minutes before kickoff, he'll come sprinting through.
That's exactly right.
Sprint through and just do it. Again, a big game from all sides of the ball. We'll talk a little bit more in the next segment as we're running out of time in this segment. But before we get too far into that, right now you can talk about the JV game going on, and we had some visitors come back.
Yeah, we did. Fabian Walker. We're playing Atlanta Sports Prep Academy, which is out of Atlanta, and Fabian Walker, which many of you know was our quarterback in the 2004 team that won the national championship, first quarterback here that won a national championship for us. And he's the offensive coordinator for that team. And then we've got a couple of guys that came back, I guess, for homecoming week. Josh Rayham, who was a wide receiver on the 2007 team, was in the weight room today, as well as what I guess is a former Detroit Lion, Maurice Leggett, is here today. And he was in the office and hanging around with us a little bit and was back in the weight room lifting. And you can tell when he's on campus because he's got a heck of a ride. You can tell he's on an NFL salary.
So you think about it, you play, as we found with Larry, you play one full season. That's several years' salary for those exactly of us that don't have that benefit of being that athletic.
But he's out there watching the JV game right now, so it was great to see him. He's doing very well. He actually tore a pec muscle He said he was doing very well in camp, tore a pec muscle, so they put him on the injured reserve. So he's basically gets paid for 14 weeks. Cannot get picked up by another team. He was telling me all the different things. I didn't understand it, but bottom line, he's going to end up probably signing again with the Lions and playing with the Lions next year.
All right, Coach, we'll take our first break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the big win, Valdosta State 40, Ouachita Baptist 13 on Saturday.
We'll be back with more from the David Dean Coaches Show live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you to all of our sponsors, Southeastern Federal Credit Union, Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girard & Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Print Co. We'll be back with more right after this on Rock 108.
There is absolutely nothing better than Friday night football in South Georgia. Don't you love it? Some of the nation's most elite players crashing helmets and blitzing the field to utterly, totally dominate their opponent is so relaxing. The sight and sound of tens of thousands of rabid fans screaming with every snap will rumble your soul. And don't even get me started on those power ballads during the halftime show. Man, it doesn't get any better. And to all of the opposing teams and their visiting fans, we love you, but you're going down. This is what we do, and this is how we roll. Tradition is here, and the future is now. It's Friday night football, folks. The trumpets are sounding, the air is thick, and victory is just 4 guaranteed action-packed quarters away. Brought to you by Southeastern Federal Credit Union, a very proud sponsor of South Georgia football.
Shopaholics and people who hate shopping have one thing in common. Neither likes to shop for insurance. At Grange Insurance, we get that. That's why we recommend buying through independent agents.
Let Blanton & Griffin do the shopping for you. Blanton & Griffin will look at a variety of insurance companies and recommend only the best ones. Companies like Grange, who offer great value and exceptional claim service. Call Blanton & Griffin today at 247-6500.
Products not available in all states.
Accuracy, reliability, perfection. Exacting standards and passionate faithfulness are at the core of the legendary Tag Heuer watch collection. These standards beat strong in the hearts of every football player and die-hard fan. Champions of accuracy, champions of quality. Tag Heuer's and Girard & Jewelers' winning team can't be beat. Girard & Jewelers, our area's exclusive dealer of Tag Heuer timepieces, proudly supports Coach David Dean and the Valdosta State Blazers. See the rebirth of an icon, the Tag Heuer Link Series, exclusively available at Girard & Jewelers.
It's a world of endless meetings, a place where the copier's always jamming and cubicle dwellers always dream of better digs. Yeah, this is the typical American office, and come 5 o'clock, this is America's beer, Budweiser. It's brewed with the finest natural ingredients for the perfect combination of flavor and refreshment.
Budweiser, the great American style lager.
Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri. Please drink responsibly.
Hey, what do you have?
Ah, it's the what'll you have moment. You want a light beer, right? But you also want real beer taste. Michelob Ultra. Smooth, refreshing, perfect taste. 95 calories and 2.6 grams of carbs. That's the smart choice. So what will you have?
Yeah, a round of Michelob Ultra. Mick Ultra, you got it.
Live life to the ultra. Please drink responsibly. 2009 Anheuser-Busch Incorporated Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri. 95 calories, 2.6 grams carbs, 0.6 grams protein, and 0 grams fat per 12 ounces.
Listen up. It's the David Dean Coaches Show on Rock 108.
Welcome back to the David Dean Coaches Show live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you to Southeastern Federal Credit Union, Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Blanton and Griffin Insurance, Girardin Jewelers, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Print Co. Now let's take it back to David Schmidt and head coach David Dean.
Coach, you mentioned how incredible it would be to understand the psyche of teenagers and young adults. I guess I'm more impressed the fact that you get them to show up somewhere at 6:10 in the morning.
We were too. That was what I was more nervous about than anything else, was getting everybody there. And it was myself and Lance Finley were the two coaches that were left over there to get them to the airport. And when I did, I went in there and I called roll on the bus. And they were all there, and I had to breathe a sigh of relief because we had everybody there and we're going to be able to make the trip.
Again, a great game. You guys actually had to face some adversity. Austin Roberts started the game. Unfortunately got injured, but, a lot of teams, I like to say, it's next man up. And, boy, did Caden Cochran respond to being put into the fire. And really, again, in a key game, big game, on the road, hostile territory, and he just responded. You had to be impressed.
Yeah, he really did. He stepped in when we were down 10-2 and really responded with an excellent football game, and led us to 38. I guess it was 38 points. He had several great throws. Again, he played a great football game, but we did a great job of protecting him. We did a good job of catching the football. We made some really, really big-time catches in that ball game. So, overall, it was just a great effort offensively. But my hat's off to Caden. He was ready to go in and play. He's a guy that hadn't had a lot of snaps this year, and he stepped up when his opportunity was presented to him, and he made the most of it.
And it takes the whole team. And again, I think so far I've just really been impressed with the offensive line and how they've been able to. Again, when you go into a game knowing you have the option to run and to pass, again, no sacks again this week, very few lost yards. You rush for over 130 yards as a team. Again, each week it just seems like they're getting better and better. And again, with such a cohesive unit and one that's only getting better because they're playing more, and you still have several of them for a while. Again, you just have to be really encouraged with that.
Yeah, we were really encouraged with that. And there was one of our drives that we went down and scored a touchdown on. We lost Ryan Schrader. He got leg whipped in the knee and it was hurting pretty bad and had to come out of the game. And we moved Mesh Wokamati, who's our right tackle. We moved him to left tackle. Moved Edmund Kugleba, who's our right guard, to right tackle. Moved Cam Short from left guard to right guard. Kept our center the same and had another true freshman, redshirt freshman, Jordan Heath, come in and play guard at our left guard. So we had basically 4 new positions out there, and those guys, again, worked together as a unit, drove us down the field, and we were able to put points up on the board.
And I don't think some fans might not really understand how difficult it is. It's one thing to replace a lineman, but even when you replace one but change positions, playing tackle is not the same as playing guard. Playing on the right is not the same as playing on the left. No. So explain how incredible they have to be and how prepared they have to be to make that adjustment.
Well, the big thing is when you play offensive line, you got to know all 5 positions, and that's all a matter of those guys working together. And I think that's one thing that Andy Richmond does an outstanding job of. Andy's our offensive line coach. He does an outstanding job of making sure those guys understand, if I'm the left tackle, what the right tackle's doing and why he's doing that. He's just a great teacher, and because of that, he can move guys around. And, you look at playing right guard and left guard, your steps are different. You're leading with a different foot. Your eyes are in a different place on a lot of different plays. You're pulling a different way. You're pass setting a different way. So it's really it's not an easy thing to do when you change positions, especially when you don't have an opportunity to practice it all that much. You can walk through it some, but still it's not the same as going through the full speed live looks at it.
And another situation with that is, of course, you have to trust, quarterbacks have to trust running backs to be at the right place for the handoff. They have to trust the wide receivers to be in the right place. Safeties have to trust cornerbacks. When it comes to the offensive line, they really have to trust each other and assume that the guy next to them is going to do what they have to do before they even can worry about what they're doing. I mean,
there's no question.
And there's such a small space that it's just chaos.
And there's so many things that are happening. It's not like everybody just lines up and they come off the ball. You got linebackers that are blitzing. You got twists that are going on. You got people that are moving around all the time. So there's a lot of communication that goes on. And a lot of times things happen when the ball's snapped and you don't have time to communicate. So you got to trust that that guy's going to do his job and he's going to pick that twist up, and I'm going to wait for the guy to come around. There's just a lot of integral parts that go into playing on the offensive line. And, again, I'm really proud of our guys and the way they're playing right now. And, probably the most exciting thing to me, and I was saying this morning, if you look at it from our 5 starters that we have right now, Schrader is a sophomore, Cam's a junior, Jake Thomas is a junior, Edmund is a junior, and Meshwell Kamadi's a junior. And our 2 main backups that we have going into the ball game, Jordan Heath, who is a redshirt freshman, and Robert Newton, who's injured right now, is not being able to play, is a sophomore. And then behind them are 3 more freshmen. So everybody on that offensive line is coming back. And if we can keep them all in school and can keep them working hard and working together and in the weight room, I think our offensive line could be one of the best that we've had, and at least one of the best in the Gulf South Conference.
And that's a position too where you can't take a day off from the weights and everything, can you? You just have to continually get strong. You can never be too strong as an offensive lineman.
And you still got to be able to move.
And flexible, right?
That's
flexible.
Right. They got to be able to move and use their feet and use their hands. And again, that's something that those guys took a lot of pride in this summer. They all stayed here together. They all worked together. And they're just a very cohesive group. And, again, can't say enough about them. I'm very proud of them. And, a lot of the successes that we have in our games have been because of the offensive line. And when we have not played well, it's our offensive line that didn't play well. Of course, you always drop balls and do different things like that, or you throw interceptions. But a lot of it starts up front.
And with a good offensive line, that means hopefully that provides you time, which is probably the most valuable thing in any given play, is having time to execute what you want to execute. And definitely had time this game to throw downfield, and that really paid off, and able to get Shontavius Jones involved, and he really had an incredible day.
Wow, he really did. He made some of the best catches that I've seen in a long time. He made 2 huge catches almost back to back. They were 4 plays separate. He ran a deep route, and the ball was a little bit underthrown, and he jumped. And fortunately for him, he was 6'4", and the guy he was going against was about 5'10". And he just jumped and leaped over the top and snatched the ball away and brought it back. It actually rubbed across the defender's head as he brought it back. And then the next play that he caught for the touchdown, he did the same thing. He went up and caught it, and the guy grabbed his arm, and he just brought it down with one hand. It was just a phenomenal catch. But he made just, you can make great catches, but you got to be able to run good routes, and you got to know how to get open. And I think for the first time, he really understood what it took to get open. And a lot of that had to do, he was the main one that came in on Monday, who I was excited about coming in on Monday and watch film. So he knew the moves that he had to make to beat the guy that he was over the top of. And I think that really opened his eyes. If I study this film a little bit, it's going to make me a better player.
Because, again, that's another situation where, just like the linemen don't hope that the guy straight across from them comes every time.
Right.
The wide receiver, it's not a matter of finding an open spot. It's being at the exact open spot at the exact right time, so the quarterback knows you're going to be there. Because, again, we're talking, 4 seconds tops they have to make a decision and to get the ball to them.
That's exactly right. And, you face so many different things as a wideout. You face guys who go press coverage on you. So you got to know how to get off the line. You got to read whether it's man coverage or zone coverage. And believe it or not, depending on man or zone, your route is different. And how you come out of your route is different. So, all of those things play into it. And you're right. All of that has to be done in a 4-second period. And your quarterback has to have a good trust and understanding of what you're going to do in that 4 seconds, because he's having to make the decision of the 5 wide receivers that are going out, who am I going to throw the ball to?
All right, Coach, we'll take our second break here, and we'll come back. We'll put a cap on top of the big win, and we'll take a look ahead at homecoming coming up this Saturday.
We'll be back with more from the David Dean Coaches Show live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you to our title sponsors, Southeastern Federal Credit Union. Also, thank you to Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girard & Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Printco. We'll be back with more from the David Dean Coaches Show on Rock 108.
There is absolutely nothing better than Friday night football in South Georgia. Don't you love it? Some of the nation's most elite players crashing helmets and blitzing the field to utterly, totally dominate their opponent is so relaxing. The sight and sound of tens of thousands of rabid fans screaming with every snap will rumble your soul. And don't even get me started on those power ballads during the halftime show. Man, it doesn't get any better. And to all of the opposing teams and their visiting fans, we love you, but you're going down. This is what we do, and this is how we roll. Tradition is here, and the future is now. It's Friday night football, folks. The trumpets are sounding, the air is thick, and victory is just 4 guaranteed action-packed quarters away. Brought to you by Southeastern Federal Credit Union, a very proud sponsor of South Georgia football.
It's a world of endless meetings, a place where the copier's always jamming and cubicle dwellers always dream of better digs. Yeah, this is the typical American office, and come 5 o'clock, this is America's beer, Budweiser. It's brewed with the finest natural ingredients for the perfect combination of flavor and refreshment.
Budweiser, the great American style lager.
Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri. Please drink responsibly.
Hey, what do you have?
Ah, it's the what'll you have moment. You want a light beer, right? But you also want real beer taste. Michelob Ultra. Smooth, refreshing, perfect taste. 95 calories and 2.6 grams of carbs. That's the smart choice. So what will you have?
Yeah, a round of Michelob Ultra. Mick Ultra, you got it.
Live life to the ultra. Please drink responsibly. 2009 Anheuser-Busch Incorporated Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri. 95 calories, 2.6 grams carbs, 0.6 grams protein, and 0 grams fat per 12 ounces.
Smitty's Package Store is ready for Blazer football. Smitty's was voted the #1 liquor store in South Georgia, and they have everything that you need for the weekend, including ice-cold beer, wine, and liquor. Plus, you can pick up a cooler, a bag of ice, a nice cigar, and even the lime for your Corona. As we cheer our Blazers on, don't forget to be safe. Make sure that you have a designated driver and that you drink responsibly. All good times begin at Smitty's, and go Blazers.
Black Crow Media will be hosting the 4th annual Valdosta Mall Titletown Fall Frolic. The festival will begin on October 22nd at 10 a.m. at the Valdosta Mall, and the community is invited to attend. We would love to see you, your family, and friends at this year's Fall Frolic. The activities for this year's event will include bounce houses, train rides, visits from several of your favorite characters, live entertainment, and tons of festival fun. Last year's Fall Frolic was a huge success, and we look forward to an even better event this year. For more information on the event, please call Beth Piegler at 244-8642 or send an email to bpiegler@blackcrow.fm. Make sure to mark your calendar for the Titletown Fall Frolic on October 22nd at the Valdosta Mall. Black Crow Media would like to thank the following sponsors: the Valdosta Mall, Austin's Cattle Company, La Jalisco, Music Funeral Services, Carter & Sons, and Bob's Outlet. Join us for the 4th annual Valdosta Mall Titletown Fall Frolic, October 22nd, 10 a.m. at the Valdosta Mall.
The David Dean Coaches Show. Find it here every Monday night, all season long, on Rock 108.
Welcome back to the David Dean Coaches Show, live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you to our title sponsor, Southeastern Federal Credit Union. Also thank you to Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girard & Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Printco. Now let's take it back to David Schmidt and head coach David Dean.
All right, Coach. Again, going back to great play by Caden Cochran. We have the local Player of the Week, the Bush Investment Group Player of the Week honor. That goes to Caden Cochran. Along with that, for the Gulf South Conference Offensive Player of the Week was Caden Cochran.
How about that? I just found that out, and that's great. He threw for 425 yards and really just a little over 3 quarters. He was definitely the difference maker in that ball game. When he came in, our offense went to a little bit different level, and I know a lot of people are sitting back going, why didn't you play him all along? And we're kind of asking the same thing, but again, you got to look at it from a standpoint of Ouachita Baptist. I guess best analogy that you can put is they came to a fish fry, so they brought grits and tartar sauce, and all of a sudden we showed up with steak. So they didn't have a steak knife and the sour cream and the butter, so they weren't ready for that type of quarterback in the ball game. They prepared for an Austin Roberts. So a lot of the stuff that he did, they weren't ready for and had not seen on film. From here on out, everybody, and this is what we're telling Caden, everybody knows what you can do now. So defenses are going to start preparing for you. But we'll find out about Austin, his injury. He could have gone back in the game. And I went over and I told him, I said, look, Caden's just playing too good right now. And he understood that. And I will say this about Austin Roberts. He never pouted. He never said, I need to go back in or whatever. Every time Caden Cochran came off the field, the first one to meet him was Austin Roberts, and he was talking with him about, here's what you see, and here's what they're doing, and here's how your adjustments are to that. So he's really helping him with that maturity process.
And a lot of people, they use the word quarterback controversy whenever you have the situation, but that's a good problem to have when you can pick from two guys. I know a couple seasons ago, you were, it's like, who can we find to fill the spot because of all the injuries?
Exactly.
And, when you can have someone step in like that. Are they different enough that you can prepare a game plan for both of them to an extent within a week's time frame so that you have that uncertainty that a defense has to get ready, especially since you unveiled the option a couple weeks ago?
Exactly. Well, it's the same thing. We do have certain things that we're going to do if Caden is in the game and certain things that we're going to do if Austin is in the game. And then there's other things if Brett Whitmire gets in the game that he does best. So what we did was we just kind of changed everything to do the things that Caden Cochran does best, and it just happened to be that he executed them very, very well. The thing that he did not play a perfect game. He made a lot of mistakes in the game. He called our protections wrong numerous times and put us in bad situations, but he's a good enough athlete that he can get himself out of trouble. And the big play that he threw to Quinn Robertson, that's what he did. He called the protection wrong. They brought a blitz, so they had two guys coming free, and he realized it at that point, so he started scrambling. He actually broke a tackle, picked up a great block by R.J. Davis, and then was able to throw the ball down the field to Quinn Robertson. So those are the things that he still is yet to learn in our offense, and he'll get better and better, and that's one thing that Austin really helped him with in that ball game.
And from what little bit I've seen of him, and I've not seen very much, and I'm obviously not a quarterback expert, or I'd be funneling to you left and right. But it seems like what I've seen of Caden, he's incredible at stabbing his foot in the ground and letting go of the ball.
Yes.
I mean, it seems like very quick. He's very decisive. And then when he is on the run, his head's up downfield, and he's not really worried about the pressure that's coming. And so at any moment, as long as he doesn't cross the line of scrimmage, he can throw it or he can take off.
He is, and that's the one thing that he brings to us is he's a threat coming out of the pocket. Austin is not much of a threat. Austin can get 3 or 4 yards if he steps up in the pocket. But you got to respect Caden's speed, and when he steps up, those linebackers have to honor that. And a lot of times those were times when he was throwing the ball over the top of them. But if they're going to stay back, now he's going to start running. He just brings a little bit different dimension to what we're doing offensively. And the good thing about it is Austin did not play his best game against Arkansas Monticello. He did not get off to a great start against Ouachita Baptist, but he did play well in other ball games. And Caden is going to do the same thing. He played great against Ouachita Baptist, but how will he play against West Alabama if he has that opportunity in Delta State? So that's what people have to understand. This kid's got a lot of pressure on him now because he doesn't know if he's going to be the quarterback. He may be the quarterback, he may not, but everybody's thinking he's the world beater now. Because the first game he comes in, he throws for 425 yards. That's not going to happen every week. And like I said, people are going to start preparing for Caden Cochran now. So he's got to elevate his game, and he's got to step up, and he's got to be a little bit better player than he was the previous week.
And he's still a sophomore. So
still a sophomore.
You got youth on his side.
Yeah.
Too there. At any point during the game, did you get a sense that he was in some kind of zone? Or, how much did you have to coach him up besides what Austin was helping with? Or was he just responding and kind of going off an instinct?
Well, that's one thing that he does very well is he's a little bit high-strung and hyper. When you talk to him, he's really hyper. And I think that's one thing that Austin does is Austin kind of calms him down, and he listens to Austin. He respects Austin a lot. And when I would go back there and I would talk to the three of them, I would explain to him some different things and some things we're going to look at doing the next time, and this is what they're trying to do, and this is how they're trying to attack you now. And basically what Austin came back is put it in college kids terms, what I was telling him. And I think that kind of eased his mind a little bit. But he's a great guy to coach. He'll do exactly what you tell him to do. You'll find this out the more he plays. He is a gambler. He's going to throw the ball into a crowd, and because he respects or he trusts his arm. So you're going to look at some of those and go, oh my gosh, we caught the ball.
There was those no, wow.
Yeah, and he's going to have a lot of those plays, and he's going to have a lot of those places. You go, what in the heck was he thinking? So you're going to take some good and some bad. We're just hoping that the good far outweighs the bad.
And so now, obviously not to put you on the spot, and like you said, you wouldn't telegraph your intentions anyway, but my sense is you still have a lot of deciding to do getting ready for the game against West Alabama.
Well, we do. West Alabama is a team that really fits Austin a lot better, but will Austin be healthy? We don't know. We've got to look at. We saw him yesterday. He was still extremely sore from his shoulder. Once he gets out there tomorrow and starts throwing the ball around a little bit, we'll find out if he's got the velocity that he needs. It's the same injury that he had in the preseason. But it's just it's one of those things we got to find out. Can he throw the ball with the velocity that we need?
All right, Coach, we'll take our break here and we'll get ready for it. Of course, we have homecoming coming up next week. Just to kind of get you a heads up, if you want to see everything that's going on for homecoming, we'll talk a little bit about it in the next segment. But ValdostaState.org will have a lot of information for you to go and check out and see the schedule coming up for homecoming. We'll take our final break. When we come back, we'll take a look at homecoming and West Alabama.
We'll be back with more from the David Dean Coaches Show, live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you to our title sponsor, Southeastern Federal Credit Union. Also, thank you to Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girardin Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Printco. We'll be right back on Rock 108.
There is absolutely nothing better than Friday night football in South Georgia. Don't you love it? Some of the nation's most elite players crashing helmets and blitzing the field to utterly, totally dominate their opponent is so relaxing. The sight and sound of tens of thousands of rabid fans screaming with every snap will rumble your soul. And don't even get me started on those power ballads during the halftime show. Man, it doesn't get any better. And to all of the opposing teams and their visiting fans, we love you, but you're going down. This is what we do, and this is how we roll. Tradition is here, and the future is now. It's Friday night football, folks. The trumpets are sounding, the air is thick, and victory is just 4 guaranteed action-packed quarters away. Brought to you by Southeastern Federal Credit Union, a very proud sponsor of South Georgia football.
Peaceway Counseling and Mediation Services Incorporated has diligently served Valdosta and the surrounding communities since 2006 and is now offering DUI school. If you or someone you know is in need of DUI school, Peaceway Counseling can help. Peaceway counselors pride themselves on integrity, commitment, and professionalism and now provide a variety of services, including marital counseling, substance abuse treatment, individual and family therapy, anger management, domestic violence, and DUI classes. Call today at 333-2351 or visit peacewaycms.com. Peaceway Counseling and Mediation Services, helping to put the pieces together.
Experience the difference of Griner Nissan, home of the lifetime warranty. For over 50 years, customers in South Georgia and North Florida have relied on Griner for their automotive needs. Griner continues to offer the best possible prices and service that keeps you coming back. After all, relationships are what the difference is all about. Visit Griner Nissan on Inner Perimeter Road in Valdosta and online at grinernissan.com. Griner Nissan, a proud sponsor of the VSU Blazers and the the David Dean Coaches Show. Valdosta Lighting Center, located at 418 Northside Drive, has been serving homeowners and businesses in Valdosta and the surrounding areas since 1974. They have a 14,000 square foot facility and offer the finest lighting with over 200 residential, commercial, and industrial lines to choose from. Valdosta Lighting Center's staff has over 125 years combined experience. They offer scheduled in-house or on-site consultations as well as after-hours appointments for your convenience. Call Valdosta Lighting Center at 247-1526 or visit them online at valdostalighting.com.
A nugget, by definition, is a lump, a chunk, a blob. We're KFC, and our cooks don't make blobs.
We certainly don't.
We believe bite-sized pieces of chicken shouldn't be pressed or formed like most nuggets are. So we use 100% off-the-bone premium breast meat. Every piece is a piece of the world's best chicken.
It's the only kind we know how to make.
Now you can try a large order of popcorn chicken for just $2.99. Today is a KFC day. Today tastes so good.
Limited time offer at participating KFC restaurants. Prices may vary. Tax extra.
You're listening to the David Dean Coaches Show.
103, 1, 2, 3.
On Rock 108.
Welcome back to the David Dean Coaches Show, live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you to our title sponsor, Southeastern Federal Credit Union. Also, thank you to Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girardin Jewelers, Blanton and Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Printco. Now let's take it to David Schmidt and head coach David Dean.
All right, you talked earlier about the psyche of young men and guys still in their teens and early 20s and dealing with certain things. You got kind of a double dose this week. You've got the distraction of homecoming, and then you have the distraction, I'm sure, of a desire to want to be the team that beat you last year and the chance to kind of nail down the Gulf. Still won the Gulf South Conference, but I know it was a tough loss last year, and so you got kind of two different pillars there going along with the rest of the week.
Well, we certainly hope that the latter outweighs the former. We've warned our guys. We talked to our guys about the reason that they have homecoming is a football game. They wouldn't have a homecoming without football, so everybody's coming to watch the football game. You got to be smart and not partake in a lot of the homecoming festivities. You got to get yourself prepared and mentally ready to play football. Do all of your celebrating, hopefully, after a Saturday afternoon victory. And hopefully our guys will do that. This is always a week that scares me because there's so many things that go on. There's so many distractions. And, again, these guys are 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. And, we have a thing that we say in the coaching profession that females are undefeated. You can't beat them. And unfortunately, we deal with those guys every day, and we know that the females are going to win when it comes down to making the right decision.
And again, then you got a very good West Alabama team. Again, we talk about rankings each week, and yes, they mean nothing in the grand scope of things, but it's a way to judge what other people are thinking and how they perceive what's going on. And West Alabama made an appearance in the top 25 this week, landing in at number 2, which means of the 5 Gulf South Conference teams, there's 4 of them in the top 25. And for the first time ever in Gulf South Conference, North Alabama, Delta State 1 and 2. We're sitting at 12, and West Alabama 22.
That's right. Yeah, it is a extremely tough conference, obviously. And West Georgia is the only one that is not in the top 25 right now, and I think they're sitting at maybe a 3-3 record, 4-2 record. They're having a good season as well. So West Alabama deserves it. They're 5-1 right now. Their only loss was to the University of South Alabama, which is a 1AA school. Actually, is a school that's fixing to move into the Sun Belt, which is the conference that Troy University and those guys are in. So, they lost to a very good football team, but they're undefeated against Division II foes right now, and they're a scary bunch. They're very good on offense. They're very athletic on defense with a lot of speed, excellent special teams. They got a great kick returner that has been there for 152 years, and he's a playmaker at wide receiver and at wide receiver.
And you mentioned the kick returner, Gerald Worsham. As fate would have it, he was the special teams player of the week this week. Had an 83-yard touchdown return for touchdown return for a touchdown, obviously, but
Wow.
and another 40-yard return. So, and that was the first one that I guess West Alabama had since 2009. So he really changes the field position and the game.
Oh, he's an incredible player. He's got great speed. He has great vision in the field. He's hard to tackle. He's not a big guy, but he's very elusive. He knows how to get open. He knows how to set up his blocks, and he does that very well.
Now, it's kind of looking back again with the players of the week and taking a look. Of course, with only 5 teams, it's kind of spread out pretty evenly and who's getting things. But they have a linebacker, Deion Lacey, who's been Defensive Player of the Week for the Gulf South Conference twice, week 4 and 5. He had 2 interceptions in week 4, 2 forced fumbles in week 5. So now, again, you got another spotlight guy on defense that you have to worry about.
And he's their linebacker. He's their playmaker on defense. He's the one that gets everything going for them. He's very active. They love to drop him back in coverage. He's very good against the run. He's got great speed. He's a guy that we've definitely got to keep our eye on. We've got to make sure that we've got somebody that's locked up on him at all times and block, because we cannot allow him to run free. He'll make big plays and make big hits on us.
And he's the Larry Dean type, that he's just always around the ball, always sniffing out the ball, and he can drop back in coverage. He can come up to the line and hit you.
That's exactly right. He does it all for them. And like I said, he's their leader on defense. When he's making a lot of great plays, they're making a lot of great plays on defense.
And then you look at the offensive side. They've had 2 different offensive players of the week in the Gulf South Conference. Back in week 2, their quarterback, Gary Johnston, had a huge game where he passed for 200 yards, threw for over 100 yards. It was a combined 4 touchdowns in there. And then in week 5, not this past week, but the week before, their running back, Matt Willis, came close to rushing for 200 yards. And again, another scary thing about all this, when you look at it kind of like your offensive line, you look next to their name and it says junior, junior, junior.
Yeah, they're a fairly young football team just like us. And they've got a lot of big playmakers. The running back that you just mentioned is a guy that is taking the place of a player who was an all-conference player for him last year. T. Ray Mitchell was an all-conference running back. He's now third team for him, so he can't even drop into the top 2. That's how much they've improved. They went out and got a lot of junior college players and brought a lot of those guys in, and they're paying dividends for him right now, and he's one of those guys. He's a great runner. He's not a huge guy. He's somewhere around the 5'9", 5'10" range and weighs about 210, 15 pounds. So he's like a bowling ball, but he's got great speed. He runs very hard. I know that I talked to Coach Wallace, Coach Walker, and Coach Chambers last night and just was asking them about their offense and how they were. And they're really nervous. They're really scared. They're facing a team that is very balanced. They do a lot of good things. They got a quarterback that can run and throw, just like you mentioned. And they got several running backs, and they got a lot of speed at the wide receiver position.
And this is taking place after losing a really exciting player they had last year that we were all familiar with, Deion Williams, who did a great job in the game last year.
Sure, yeah. Deion was a great football player for him. This guy is not quite the Deion Williams. He's a little bit different player. He's more of a runner. They're going to move him out of the pocket a good bit. But if everything breaks down, he's got great speed. He can make some things happen. So we've got to make sure that we've got containment on him, keep him in the pocket, and not let him step up and make big plays running the football.
And this is another one of those games where you can look across the other side of the field and be impressed, or even be in wonderment of how good they are. But at the same time, if you prepare your guys to do what they're capable of doing, then that should carry more weight and end up hopefully have a bigger impact on the game than having to adjust to what they're doing.
Well, there's no question. We've got to do what we do best, and whatever they throw at us, we got to be able to adjust. The big thing for us is when we go into a ball game, we need to react. We don't need to think. When we think we're slower, if we can react and make plays reacting, we're a much better football team, and that goes for both sides of the football. So hopefully we're going to be prepared. Our coaches hopefully will do a good job getting our kids in the right positions to make plays, and our kids will go out with a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of passion, and play a great football game Saturday afternoon and come away with a homecoming victory.
And again, it's homecoming. We've got a lot of activities going on. Of course, soccer has 2 games sandwiched in there. So it's Wednesday. They kick off homecoming week with a big game against UC Aiken, and then it's a doubleheader Saturday with you got the game, football game, and then they play at night. Pep rally Thursday at the PE complex at 7 o'clock. The parade at 6 o'clock on Friday. And again, when it comes to the game itself, tailgating starts at 11. Blazer Walk at 1:30 with a kickoff at 3 o'clock. It's only your, third home game? It's got to be good to be back.
Yeah,
and again, we kick off the Gulf South Conference part of the schedule. So this is really where it starts to ramp up.
This is a huge week. It is. We're glad to be back home. We've been on the road on an airplane for the last 2 weeks in Arkansas. 3 of our last 4 games are all at home. We play West Alabama this week, then we go on the road to Delta, and then come back and finish with West Georgia, an off week, and then North Alabama. So having 3 of our 4 conference games at home, I think, is a bonus. Of course, the big one is this week. We've got to get off to a good start and put ourselves in a position. With not very many teams in the Gulf South Conference, you don't have a lot of – you can't afford to have a letdown and not play well and get behind and go 0-1 right off the bat. So for us to contend for a conference championship, we at least got to put ourselves in a position by beating West Alabama this Saturday and get off to a 1-0 start.
All right, Coach, appreciate it. Last week it was goodbye to Arkansas. This week's hello to the Gulf South Conference. Come back next week as we take a look at the great game on Saturday for homecoming.
This has been a special presentation of the David Dean Coaches Show, live from Austin's Cattle Company. Thank you to our title sponsor, Southeastern Federal Credit Union. Also, thank you to Peaceway Counseling and Mediation, KFC, Budweiser, Griner Nissan, Girardin Jewelers, Blanton & Griffin Insurance, Valdosta Lighting, Smitty's Package Store, and Georgia Print Co. Once again, this has been a special presentation of the David Dean Coaches Show on Rock 108.